So I'm here to tell you a bit my story from October 7 and since, because for me it wasn't just an event that happened more than a year ago. This is my life since then. I was born in a place called Kibbutz Nir Oz. Kibbutz Nir Oz is for a very small community, around 400 people. We live mostly from agriculture and industry. Very peaceful place, people that strive for peace, for coexistence with their neighbors inside Israel and also with their neighbors across the border with Gaza. It's actually a community which is one big family, community of almost all the resources are shared. It's not just people that living on the same village. For example, the fields, there are fields of the kibbutz, people that work in the fields. It's not my field or my neighbor field. It's the kibbutz fields. This is one example. Another place that people have it is their meals in a very big dining hall, something big as this hall. We don't cook in their own homes. When I was a child, today is a bit different, but when I'm a child, my parents' house has only one bedroom, one living room, and a kitchen which is like 2 feet size, something like this. Because my mother could bake a cake or we could make a coffee or not much more. And me as a child, I didn't sleep with my parents. We had places that called children houses, and this is where we spent most of our days. We slept there, we woke up in the morning on the same place we had we went to school, the class, and then we spent there all the days, had our meals there. And in the afternoon, we used to go to be with our parents for like 4 or 5 hours and come back in the evening, sleeping again with my friends. The group I was with were the kids that were born with me in the same year, and they are my brothers and sisters. I spent with them, I think even till today, more time than I spend with my own siblings. I have a brother and sister. And really, really, we are very close to each other. For me as a child, it was an amazing way to live. And because of the way the community work, we know everyone in the community. It's not that you know that the people that live near you, because many of them are the parents of your friends. And your friends, not only with the kids on your age, you could take like 2 years up and 2 years down, they're also your friends, you participate with many activities. Also, sometimes when I got older, I worked with some of the people, I used to sit with them, near them in the dining hall, so you know all the community very good. And for me as a child, it was an amazing way to live. It's something I know very strange to many people. It's hard to understand how, for example, parents allow their kids to sleep in a different house, not with them. But when I was a child in the 70s, it's a common thing in Israel, and even later. Today, it doesn't exist anymore. But for us as children, I think most of us like to live this like this. Just for you to see, Kibbutz Nir Oz is right on the border on Gaza. On the left, it's the map of Israel, the whole Israel, and you can see the red dot on the bottom left, and on the right, I increased the part that's relevant. As you can see, very close to the border with Gaza, only 1 mile away. So it's something that, when I was a child, there was not even a fence with Gaza. We had some posts, and there was a fence, simple fence that was stolen by someone. Only a big ditch that car won't be able to pass, and this is also was against thieves, not against terrorism or something like this. Even people used to go with tractor to the beach in Gaza. It's only 10 kilometers away till the beach. So people used to take a tractor, go. There was a gate there, but we had the key. People opened the key, crossed the border, locked the key behind them, went to the beach, spent all day there, and did the same on the way back. So it wasn't a problem. Only somewhere in the 80s, everything started to escalate more and more, and the fence got bigger, thicker, and higher, and more technologies around it until we arrived for the recent years. On October 7, I was born and raised in Nir Oz, but I don't live there now for more than 20 years. On October 7, like many people in Israel, I woke up to the sound of sirens in my house. Immediately, all the family, me, my wife, my 3 kids, our 2 dogs, we went to the safe room in our house. In Israel, in every house, there is a safe room. A safe room is like a shelter on the ground. One of the rooms of the house is a shelter, which is built from enforced concrete and built to hold against bombs and missiles. It's not like something you see sometimes in American movies, a hidden room that no one knows where it is and is locked. It cannot be locked from the inside. It's not built to be locked from inside because it's not against people, it's only against bombs and missiles. We spent there some time and opened the TV. In Israel, when there are sirens somewhere, you see it on the TV, the place where the sirens are. And we saw that it's all over Israel, and especially we saw kibbutz Nir Oz. So immediately we called my parents, asked them, are you okay? And say, yeah, we're in the safe room, don't worry, everything okay. And we were well up, no one could go back to sleep. From time to time, we had again and again sirens, and we saw that they're still in Nir Oz. And we understood it's something very big, much bigger than it used to. Yes, our reality for the last 20 years is that from time to time, there are sirens, you go to the safe room, wait there 10 minutes and continue with this life. Unfortunately, this was the reality, but we pretty fast understood this is a much, much bigger event. And after some time, we started to see on the TV some videos that people from cities like Sderot film from the mobile phone and publish on social media that we saw trucks of terrorists inside some cities. And then we heard they're also in Nir Oz. At the beginning, everybody thought it's a small group that managed to cross the border while all the bombs happened. But very, very fast we understood it's a very, very big event. Many, many terrorists came into Israel all over the border. So these are just some pictures of Nir Oz. On the bottom right, you can see it's Nir Oz, the building and the fields around. Above it is the main silo of the kibbutz. Every kibbutz in our area have a silo for the grains, for the cows and the chickens. And just another picture of the kibbutz. So, like I said, we heard that the rumors about the terrorists, and then we started to hear that also there are terrorists inside Nir Oz. And yet, we didn't realize the amount of people that coming inside. So what we did is just we heard that the people were instructed not to talk, just to text, because if the terrorists will go near a house and hear people talking, they will try to go to this house. So we started to text with my parents, and around 9:30 we lost connection. We didn't get any answer. Then we started to call them, and no answer. My sister was on the same time also in the kibbutz in a different house. We still had connection with her, but not with my parents. My parents are divorced. They're living in two different houses, both in Nir Oz, but two different houses, very close to each other. I think 150 or 200 feet between them, that's all. After some time, we started to realize the magnitude of the event. Into Nir Oz came in the first wave, almost 150 Nukba terrorists. The Nukba as well-trained soldiers for the Hamas. It's not, they were heavily armed with a lot of ammunition, bombs, RPG missiles, of course guns, all the weapons you can think about. They came into two gates. On the map you can see they were so prepared. They divided the kibbutz for two pieces. One will come from the north gate, one from the group from the south gate. They know what they're doing. They know where everything is positioned. They knew they're going to break another gate on the west and go outside from it. Everything was planned to the details. After them, on the second wave, came a lot of people which are regular Hamas people. And these people were also participated in kidnap people and killing people, murdering people. And at the end, the third wave, civilians came to the kibbutz to participate in all the robbing, burning houses, all the terrible things that they did. In total, around 600 people from Gaza came into Nir Oz. In some of the videos that Hamas took and we saw later, you saw a big line of people coming from Gaza, taking things from the kibbutz, like TVs, bicycles, even kids' toys, even stove for one of the houses was stolen. Of course, they took jewelry and money, whatever they found it. And you saw so many people going back and forth and stealing. Also like regular civilians. So this is one of the things that when people ask me, what about the civilians in Gaza, innocent people, I'm not sure who's innocent. Because people that participated in it, for me, are not innocent. To Nir Oz, IDF didn't arrive until 2 p.m. It's still under investigation. In other places, IDF arrived and there was a very bitter wars and fighting with the terrorists. But unfortunately, to Nir Oz, they didn't arrive until 2 p.m. When they arrived, all the terrorists and all the people from Palestine, for Gaza, already left the kibbutz. IDF didn't shoot even one bullet in Nir Oz. They took the terrorists around 2 hours to get control on the kibbutz, and they spent there around 7 hours until they just left because they finished to do what they wanted to do. This is a picture of the kibbutz attacking at noon. On kibbutz Nir Oz, there are around 225, 27 houses that people live in. Out of these houses, 40% were burned to the ground. Another 20% were damaged so badly that they also cannot be fixed. And only 40% of the houses were just broken. Like my parents, both of my parents' houses, they broke the door, they broke windows, they stole things from inside, broke whatever they could, but the houses are okay. Some fixes need to be done, but people can go back to live there. But I'm not sure people will want to go to live there because a lady that her husband was murdered in the house, she was kidnapped, and then in return, she's not going to go back to the same house to live in it. No one would. My sister's house is one of only 6 houses with all the kibbutz that the terrorists didn't get inside. When they came to her house was renovated just recently, and they only had one door, which is like a enforced lock, a very strong lock. Most of the doors of the kibbutz houses are just wooden doors, or the back door is just a slide door, but it's not like a yard or something. You come outside, break it, and get inside. They shut the lock on my sister's house. They couldn't open it. They shut the Excels, couldn't open it, and from some reason that we'll never know, they just decided they moved on. They went, and they never come back. In other houses, we know they touched the house for people to get outside, put a bomb or something, but she managed to survive, lucky for us. But for my parents, my mother, Margaret, when the terrorists came inside their house, she heard them breaking the back door and then coming to the door of the safe room. Like I explained before, the handle is not locked. The stronger one will be able to open it. And my mother, 77 years old, cannot hold it against a 20-year-old terrorist. They opened the door. The minute they opened the door, she understood they're probably going to kidnap. Also, some rumors in the kibbutz group said that they are kidnapped people. And she told them, she knew a bit Arabic, she told them, I'll come with you. No need for violence. And thankfully, they didn't use any physical violence against her, but of course, there was a gun pointed against her, so she had not much to do. And they took her with her. They put her on like a golf cart, as you see in the picture on the left, and immediately drove her into Gaza. After she crossed the border, in the streets, people around her cheering, trying to beat her, trying to grab something that she had in her hands. And after some drive between the streets, they arrived to a house. And inside the house, there was an entry to a tunnel. And they took her inside the tunnel, walked for a long walk inside, about 30 or 40 minutes. And then she arrived to a place where she spent 49 days underground. No sunlight, no fresh air, very poor sanitary condition, very little food, very little medicines, and very high humidity. The walls there, whenever there was no concrete, it was just mud. You touch it, you felt mud. It's not just some humidity on the walls. Thankfully, my mother managed to survive this. She decided she believed she will come back, and she understood she need to be active. She not just sit and wait for things to happen for her. So the best thing she can do, she helped around her. She was a small group of elderly men and women that all of them had suffered from some illnesses. Also, my mother, she's not a healthy woman. She recovered from cancer a few years ago, and she don't have the cancer anymore, but it's affected her body in many, many ways. She needed her medicines, but she decided that she will be strong, and she helped the others. For example, one of the men there, he was wounded in his arm and legs. When they kidnapped him, they put him on a motorcycle and they crashed 2 times on the way to Gaza. And all his arms and legs. And the terrorists gave them some bandages and kind of lotion to put on it, because back then they have an interest to keep the people alive. They thought they were kidnapping them in order to have some agreement and release prisoners, Palestine prisoners that are in prisons in Israel after that sentence, and the court decided they need to be there. And so she helped this man, and she helped other women that were with her. One of them, her shoulder was broken for the kidnap. Another got very, very sick, and it was very hard for her to get up and go to the toilet, for example, so she helped them. They were given like very, very thin mattresses to sleep on the floor, on the ground floor. And my mother, when she sleeps, she's using a CPAP device. It's something that helps you breathe when you're lying down, because her breath stops. And of course, she didn't have it. And she told them that she must have it because she cannot go to sleep. And all what they told her is, yeah, take a chair, put your hand against the wall and sleep like this. So for the whole 49 days, she didn't really get a real good sleep, only just napping from time to time when body collapsed. But she tried to stay positive, and she did. From time to time, they were singing songs or talking or playing word games or things like this, just to keep the mind active. And lucky for us, when was the agreement back in November, she was released on the first day and came back to us. The picture on the right, on the bottom, is the picture you see from the day she arrived at the hospital, still with the dress the terrorists gave her. One of the things that my mother didn't know all the time she was in captivity is, what about my sister? Because she didn't know. She knew she was in the kibbutz with 2 of the daughters, and she didn't know what happened to them. And after they crossed back the border to Israel, she received the phone so she can talk to us for a few minutes. And then I talked to her, and she heard my sister in the back, and she was so happy to hear that she's okay, because the whole time, one of the things that bothered her the most was what happened with my sister. She came back, she recovered pretty much, she's okay now. Of course, she's getting both mental and physical treatments, whatever she needs. And now she's pretty much independent, and she's okay. My father, Gadi Moses, he was when the terrorists arrived into his house, he left the safe room, because together with him in the house was his life partner, Efrat Katz, her daughter Doron, and 2 granddaughters, only 2 and 4. And he decided that he will leave to the safe room and telling the terrorists that he's the only one in the house. And he just did it. He thought they're coming to rob them, so he gave them some money out in the house and the car keys. But after some time, he also knew some Arabic. He used to go even to Egypt and work there for a few years. And after some time, the terrorists took him. And then Efrat managed to update the terrorists took him. And this is how we discovered it. And also my sister, which was in her house waiting for, fighting for her and the daughter's life. This is what she heard. Because she didn't know the terrorists cannot open the door for her room. She only heard the noise, they're trying, heard them talking around all the time, heard the house near her being torched, and it was so strong, the distance is between me and that wall. It's just so close, even closer. So in the house, she heard the fire. She had to calm her daughters and holding the door of the safe room because she didn't know if the terrorists are there or not. Unfortunately, after the terrorists took my father, Efrat and her daughter decided to leave the door of the safe room open. So if another people will come, they will think that no one is there. And other people come, but unfortunately they found them. They tried to hide it inside the safe room, but they did found them and took them. Efrat was found murdered in the field of the kibbutz after a few days. And Doron and the 2 daughters, only 2 and 4, were all taken to Gaza, wounded. They were taken to hospital and private houses, private people houses, and spent there also 49 days. And they're also released on the same day, like my father, like my mother. They didn't meet all the time they were there. They didn't know the other were kidnapped. They just happened to meet after they gathered all the Israeli people that were released on the same day. And then they met, and then they knew that each one was kidnapped. The picture you see there is the only picture we know about my father for the kidnapped. It was published on New York Times 3 days after, on Tuesday. One of my cousins that live in the United States found it. We see my father there, it's definitely him. Also, it's written his name, said he was kidnapped from Kibbutz Nir Oz. There isn't even credit for the photographer who took it. I don't know why, but it's there. I forgot to say, the picture we have of my mother is part from a video that when Hamas did all their atrocities, they took a lot of pictures. They had like a GoPro cameras and people with cameras that took them. And after that, they released a few videos, edited videos. And this picture is from a video that we saw. My mother was there like 5 seconds, and we discovered this video on Sunday after, and for us it was a good sign. The same that this picture was a good sign for us because we saw them. First, there was no body found, so we know they were taken. A very good news, my parents were kidnapped. It's a very better news than other news that knew that their parents were murdered, or the sisters or sons or something like this. And also we see that they are not wounded. They were taken, they seems to be healthy, not wounded, so for us it was pretty much, according to what happened, better news. I cannot say good news, but not a terrible news. The only sign of life we have with my father since October 7 is a video that was published by the terrorist on December 19, after 76 days. You see him on the right from this video. It's very hard to understand that this is the same person, only 4 months different between the two pictures. He looks, I think, 10 years older, very thin, very tired, but we knew he's alive back then. But since then, we have no information about my father. We don't know if he's underground or in houses. We don't know if he gets any food, any medicines. We actually don't even know if he's alive. We don't know anything. The Israeli intelligence doing the best to get information. We know he managed to get some information about some of the hostages, but about my father and also a few others, there is no information at all. My father is, I'm a bit biased, but he's an amazing family man and amazing man at all. He loves his family. After my parents divorced more than 20 years ago, he met Efrat. She also lived in the kibbutz. She was also divorced. And they started living together. They love to be with each other. They love to travel the world. From his point of view, her family became his family. She had 2 daughters, and during the years, 4 grandchildren were born for her. And for my father, they are like his own grandchildren. And also, they treat him as a grandfather. They don't think he's the person that lived with their grandmother or something like this. It's just another grandfather that they love and still miss today. On the bottom is his family. On the left is all his grandchildren. He have 10 grandchildren from his own children and another 4 from Efrat daughters. And the picture on the right is me and my 2 boys. I also have a girl bigger. 1 week before October 7, we visited the kibbutz like we used to do from time to time. And like every time we went to the kibbutz, we went to the fields. My father has been a farmer all his life. So we went to the fields to see what is there, and we always used to take whatever was the season, if it was potatoes, carrots, oranges. In this case, it's the peanuts field. It's hard to see, but in my hand, I hold the peanut to show in the picture. And it was like very normal and regular Saturday. We went to the fields. We even got pretty close to the border, and no one suspected. Even on October 6th, no one suspected that something like this might happen. My father and Frat loved to travel in Israel and all over the world. We have a picture here from Thailand or Vietnam, I'm not sure. And the other two pictures are from Iceland. They've been there just last year in the summer. They already started to plan the next trip. This is supposed to be this summer to Africa somewhere. On the left bottom, you see him as a farmer all his life, and I think he was a teacher in his soul, too. I'll explain later more. Immediately when he saw some old agricultural equipment, he immediately jumped on the tractor and explained all the group that traveled with him about how they used to work with it, what these tools exactly did, and how the tractor works and everything. It's something in his soul. He loved to share his knowledge and tell it to everybody. This is some family pictures. On the left, the young, nice boy, it's me. I used to be nice. And this is more recent family picture. On the right is my brother and his son. My brother also has 3 children. And on the left is my family with my father. And in the spring, there's a holiday in Israel called Shavuot. It's a holiday that have 2 measures. One is the religious part, as one is the agriculture part. And here we all, as a agriculture, living from the agriculture, we celebrate agriculture in this time. It's the time of year that we celebrate all the new thing that happened this year, that the new calves that were born for the cows, and the new vegetables that were picked up on that season. And it's a very, very big celebration in the kibbutz. All the families of the kibbutz members come to see this. We do a big agriculture exhibition when they start with the wheat field, and the combine come and pick up the wheat. And after this, all the tools go one by the other and prepare the soil for the next plantation. And my father, for many years, is the host of this. He takes the speaker and explain all the people there, each tool, what it does, how important it is, what it's doing. Together with that, there are some activities, like a competition to roll the haystack, or a thing like this. Sometimes there is like a synchronized tractors dance that they do some things between them, and many other activities which are very, very nice, and people like a lot to come. My family, we know every time Shavuot we're in Oz, there is no doubt that we'll do something different. And the last Shavuot, of course, we couldn't celebrate it. We couldn't be in Oz. And for us, it was very, very hard holiday, like almost all the holiday in the last year, but this is specific because if this didn't happen, we'd be in Oz and my father would have hosted the celebration there. He came to the kibbutz in the early 60s, and since then he's been a pillar in the kibbutz, not just a member, not someone who lived there, participated in many in the committees, was very active to make sure the kibbutz is keeping standards and decision and everything. And one time he was part of the committee that accept people to the kibbutz. When someone wants to come to live in the kibbutz, they have that committee that talk to them, make sure they fit to the kibbutz life, and the kibbutz life fits them, because it's not a regular life, so not anyone can live it. And also beside that, he was part of the committee that used to make sure that if someone of the kibbutz is dying, he will have a proper and decent burial. So we said he is responsible for the people from the minute they arrive until they are going. Just some more pictures from the life in the kibbutz, one of the travels in the dining room doing something. We couldn't figure out what he's doing there in the dining room, what is this food, but never mind. And here he is in the fields on one of the tractors. I think I can say my mother and later Efrat were all the time his second wife. The fields was his first life. He loved it so much. It was in his soul. The moment he came, he always wanted to go there, even from some reason he couldn't be there. Once he had like a work accident and he got burned. So for 1 year, he was not supposed to go to the fields to be in the sun because it could damage his skin. And even that, from time to time, he used to go there and see what's happening and everything because he cared so much. And all the years he worked in the fields in the kibbutz except this 1 year. And with the time, he went to the university and learned to be agronomist, specialized in water, in irrigation and soil. And also, he usually worked for the potatoes for all other things, but he was the kibbutz potatoes expert, and he was like a world expert with potatoes. And after some time, when around 92, he started to travel around the world and teach people about agriculture, to go to developing countries and teach them about agriculture. That's because he believed doing that will improve their lives, not because he wanted to travel or wanted to earn money or something. He felt that sharing his knowledge will improve their life by having better agriculture, better crops, and better life. And he truly believed it. And this is him explaining something about the irrigation. The blur you think around is because the sprinklers are working, and the camera got hit from the water. But he didn't care. He could stand like this in the middle of the field and everything, and he get wet. And for him, it was a pleasure. It wasn't something that he didn't like. Some picture for him around the world. He'd been to South America, to Africa, to the Far East, to Asia, to everything in the world that his advice was needed. If people ask about something that he didn't know, he will take the books before and learn and study it so he can come and give them the advice they need. About berries, about tomatoes, things that they didn't grow up in the kibbutz, but he knew how to learn and explain and what to do there. One of the places he used to go many times is Georgia. We went there once and then twice, and then he liked it so much and they liked him, and they asked for him many more times. And he turned to have personal relations with the people there, not just someone to come lecture and go home. He went to visit them in their houses, in their fields, went to the different counties for all the people, not just to be in the capital in Tbilisi. And he loved going there. He loved the people there so much. He loved the food, he loved the wine, but he loved the people. On last Independence Day, the ambassador of Israel in Georgia, who heard from the people there they heard about my father and asked about him, and she understood they care about him so much. They invited us, me and my sister. We went there. There was a very, very nice ceremony when many people were invited, all the ambassadors for all the countries that came to Georgia, and people from the foreign ministers came there. It was a very, very honorable ceremony. And after the ceremony, they did a big meal. They have a name for it. It's not just a big meal. We ate, and the elderly man there said was like the host of the meal. And every few minutes he stood up, said something, and then one of the people that came, and the people were people that worked with my father along the years. For about 16 or 17 years, he used to go there. More than 20 times he went to Georgia, and they told story about how he helped them, stories, small anecdotes about what they've done there and things like this. And one of the stories I cannot forget, he said, they told us that one of the first time my father was there, the second or third, it was after a war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which are not to Georgia. And part of the peace process and trying to live together, they organized the agriculture cruise in Georgia, in Tbilisi, and bring people from all these countries. And my father started to talk, and after some time, one of the men there told him, but how can it be true? It's so different from what we know, what we learned during the years. And my father, which is a very practical man, told me, you know what? This is a long-term course. Let's take a field. We'll go half of it my way, half of it your way, and then we'll see if I know what I'm talking about or not. And after a few months, they harvested, and on the other side was 19 tons, and on my father's side was 51 tons. Yeah, and from that moment, they knew he knows what he's talking about, and they're listening to him, understood he's coming from through will to help them and teach them, and not like coming, I know what I'm doing, and something like this. My father, he's a hard worker, but he loves living good. He loved to drink wine, whiskey, beer, and on every occasion he will do it. And sometimes he finds the occasion to do it, but yes. He and a few of his friends in Rose, they used to sit every Friday after work, drink some wine, and talk about all these things in the world. What happened in the Rose, what happened in the fields, sports, politics, weather, whatever people can think about. And I don't know, after some time, and I don't know if it's because they realized the wine is very expensive and they drink a lot of wine or other reason, but they decided to plant a vineyard. And they planted a vineyard and made their own winery and started to make their own wine. And it was a pretty good wine that they made. It was just for myself. It's not something commercial. It's not something that to sell to others. It's for them and their own families. Each one had to spend like some amounts every year, and together with this, they make sure the vineyard is okay. My father was the person responsible for the agriculture part, so they grow the grapes in the vineyard. One of the men there was responsible for the wine. He was the wine man. Other person was the technical person, and others just work whatever needed to be done. And on October 7th, the person who was responsible for the wine was murdered. 3 people, my father and other 2, were kidnapped. The other 2 were murdered in captivity. We know they were alive there, and they were murdered in captivity. And the vineyard was neglected, actually, in the winery. And after a few months, I think 3 months, the grandson of the person that was murdered, he decided to take ownership about it and trying to save it. And thanks to the help of many, many people, they went to the vineyard, they make sure that he gets, but again, water and fix whatever needs to be fixed there. And then also in the winery, wine that sits in the barrels and need to be handled. There are some processes that need to do there. And they tried to help him to do whatever he can, because 3 months is a long time, but they managed to save this wine. At the beginning of summer, we went and bottled it. You see on the bottom left, it's all the bottles of wine that we bottled from what's there. And on last August, we harvest the wine. On the left, you can see me picking out there and looking. We harvested the new grapes and did whatever needed now in the barrels, waiting for my father to come back and enjoy his wine. In the middle is a picture from one of the time they harvest the grapes. You can see the happiness on his face. I don't think more need to be said about that. My father can be also a funny man, to laugh with his kids or with in Israel, we have a holiday that's called Purim that we put customs, very similar to what happened in Halloween. And whenever needed, he knows also how to be a funny man. Yeah, back to be serious. October 7th in Rose, I explained you about what happened to the houses, but now we'll talk about the people. Out of the 400 people, around a quarter of the people were either murdered or kidnapped. 117 people. 41 were murdered on that same day. But in total, we have 57 people that we know that murdered. Some of them were murdered and kidnapped. The bodies were kidnapped, and others were kidnapped alive and murdered in captivity. We have 40 women and children that were kidnapped and released. Yeah, they kidnapped even children. And we still have 7 bodies that were recovered by IDF. So people that we can, some of them were kidnapped as bodies, some were kidnapped alive and murdered. And still 29 people from the community are still there in Gaza. 9 of them, unfortunately, we know that already are dead. And another 20, my father is one of them. We hope that are still alive. We don't know it for sure. Because even we had some intelligence information from this morning that they are alive, we know that doesn't promise that today they're still alive. We heard stories, I believe most of you heard the story of Hirsch Goldberg and another 5 people that were with him when IDF just arrived close to them, the terrorists decided that holding him was, I guess, too much of a burden for them, and they murdered them. And we know it can happen anytime. In total, in Israel, there are 101 people that are still in Gaza. So for Kibbutz Nir Oz, right from the beginning, it was between third and a quarter, until today, between third and a quarter of the people that are in Gaza are from Kibbutz Nir Oz. It's one of the communities that suffer the hardest. I know it's not a competition, but related to the size of the population, it's the community that suffered, I think, the most. In others, more people got hurt, murdered, but again, it's not a competition. In total, you need to understand, in Israel, on October 7, more than 1,200 people were murdered, thousands were injured. If you want to take magnitude of this event for the size of Israel, it's like 30 times 9/11. So this is the magnitude of the thing that happened there in measure that people can understand. I would like to talk about two persons. Both of them friends of mine, like I said, that grew up with me, my brothers. On the left, his name is Aviv Atzili. When the terrorists came into Nir Oz, he left his wife in the safe room, took his rifle, and went to protect the community. He was part of the first response group. In each kibbutz or each place where people live, we had to have a first response group. That people that used to be soldiers in the past, but kept training, and in order to be able to react if something like this happened. But they can only be against a small group of terrorists. They know what to do, but not against the number that people came with heavily armed like they were. And they're supposed to hold up like 15, maximum 20 minutes until IDF arrived. And like I said, IDF did arrive. And they fought, they gave all they can do. And we know they killed quite a number of terrorists, but it wasn't enough. At the end, he was murdered by the terrorist, and his body was kidnapped to Gaza. His wife, Liat, was also kidnapped from their home. And she was released after 54 days in that agreement in November. And when she came back, we were so happy that she came back. We had hopes for Aviv, and the very next day, IDF announced that all the evidence showed that he was murdered. He's dead. Yeah, in the beginning we didn't know. We thought he was just kidnapped. But all the evidence, they found a place where he and another person were killed. They found the blood and other evidence that showed that it cannot be that they're still alive. And they announced that one day after she returned. And this is the emotional roller coaster we're suffering since then. Sometimes we get some happy news that people were released, or something is better happen, and then we fall down and get the bad news about people that were murdered or things like this. Aviv, for the recent years, discovered he is an artist. He didn't know it. He was a man of hard work all these years, but in the recent year, he found that he's an artist. He started painting, doing work of welding things. He's holding a gasoline tank that he painted on. It's his picture. Behind him on the wall, you can see something that he created. It's like a camel. A woman gave this camel water. And he did many, many things. One of the biggest art galleries in Israel discovered him and tried and asked him to create more and more of things. And this happened just a few months before it happened, and he didn't get to be the famous artist he could be. On the right is another friend of mine, Roy Munder, the most on the right. He was murdered in the front of his house. All his family, his father, mother, sister, and a sister kid that came to visit were kidnapped. So after they found his body, his first family couldn't bury him because they weren't there. His uncles buried him in another place near his grandparents. His mother, sister, and the sister's son were released also the same day like my mother. And and his father was still hostage. His father is the man that my mother took care of and changed his bandages. And they were kidnapped separately. So they didn't know if he's alive, if he was married, what happened. And my mother told him that he was with her, told him that he got the wounds, but when she was released, he was much, much better. And it was for them happy news. But sadly, last August, IDF managed to recover a few bodies, and his body was one of them. And we know he was murdered. It's not like he was dying for being old or sick in captivity, which is terrible by itself. We know him and the other that were elderly men that were recovered were murdered in captivity. These are some pictures from Niroz. On the right is the parking of the kibbutz ambulance. One of the first things the terrorists did, and like I showed the map, they knew it. They shot an RPG missile on the ambulance so no one can use it. On the left is a few containers that people use as storage space. And one of the first video that Hamas republished was terrorists around these containers, robbing them, and after this, torching them. This is the kibbutz dining hall. On the left, you can see the shot to the glass door. It was 7 in the morning, Saturday. No one was there. And they torched the place. No one's there just to torch, destroy. On the right is all the mailboxes of the kibbutz. And one member of the kibbutz did this on each mailbox. She put stickers for red ones are the people for murdered, and the black one are for people that were kidnapped. And it's so clear how many people, how many families. Sometimes you see 5 red stickers on the same mailbox of people that were murdered. Just some more houses that were burned. On the left, it's the grocery store of the kibbutz. Again, just torture and destroy with no real reason to do it. The house on the right is one of the houses that the terrorists didn't manage to open the safe room door. So they just put a bomb on it and started. So the door exploded. The person there and his friend, they were both kidnapped. He died from his wounds in Gaza. His body is still there. And all the house was like collapsed. You see the door, the outside door of the house, and how it came out from its frame. Kibbutz Niroz, our home, my home, still home, even though I don't live there for more than 20 years, it's my home. Whenever we go there to visit my parents, I feel I came back home. My roots are so deep inside there. And the damage there is so hard. It will take between 2 to 3 years to rebuild it. So all the people of the kibbutz were, on the following day, on Sunday, after October 7th, they were evacuated to a hotel in Eilat. They lived there for 3 months. And I can assure you, living in a hotel for 3 months, it's not like going to vacation for a few days to a hotel. It's terrible. You have no privacy. My sister, their family of 6 people, had 2 rooms together for all of them. Very, very tight, very, very hard to live like this. We went to visit there a few times. When you go to the hotel lobby, it's like a zombies hotel. Everybody is just looking of nothing, crying, try to comfort each other. But then we started to see the power of community. People like me, like other people that grew up in kibbutz, or people that in the past lived in the kibbutz and didn't live in it anymore, came to help. They helped this community with everything you can think about, helping with getting donations. The people that left the kibbutz, they were given like 5 minutes, go to your house, pick up whatever you can in these 5 minutes and go. Some came with 1 bag with personal underwears and 1 shirt, and even not a toothbrush. So they had nothing when they arrived at the hotel. A lot of donation arrived from all over Israel. People of Israel came and donated a lot of things. Also big companies, even food formulas or things like this. And many people from the kibbutz came and just covered the community to help her. Even people that personally didn't get hurt, someone of their family, but as I told you, it's community, it's our family. And they just came to help their family. It was amazing and emotional to see it. I couldn't expect it even when it's happened, but it's happened, and it was an amazing thing to see. After 3 months, they moved to a city called Kiryat Gat. There were a few buildings there that could have enough place that were just rebuilt, and there was enough place for all the people that wanted to go there. Each family got an apartment with all the appliances, all the furnitures, but it's not the same. It's not like living in a kibbutz with all the fields, with all the grass, all the trees. You're living in a building. But for now, this is what they're going to live there until the kibbutz will build. Soon they're going to start to destroy it and then build it. There seems still some discussion about what exactly going to be, how they're going to fund it, because the government fund, but not all of it. And it's still in process, but hopefully soon the kibbutz member will decide and live and start to work on it. You must understand, in the kibbutz, a 5-year-old kid can take his bike, tell his mother, I'm going to my friend, and just go. No one cares, no one worried about him. And he could go to his friend's house, and the friend is not there, so he's just going to another friend's house. And it's okay. It's just basically thing. And if he won't arrive by dinner, the mother will try to call the other mothers and ask who saw it. But not because she's worried, just because she wants him back. Not something she's worried that something might have happened to him. And it's not the same to live in the city, in a building and everything. So it's a very different life, very hard life for many of them. Some people don't know what they're going to do, especially young families. They're not sure they're going to come back to kibbutz. Other people say they will come back, like my mother. She said, the minute I can go, I'll go back there. Other people say they will never step again in Rose. One of the women that was kidnapped and released, and her husband is buried in Rose. He died many years ago. She said, even though he's there, I'm not going to visit him. I cannot go back to this place, never in my life. And some people even say, I didn't have the ability to think what I want to do until it's all over and all the people will come back and we're still in it. So it's very, very hard. And we don't know yet what will be in the kibbutz, but some of the people want to come there and build it and everything. As for myself, from October 7, all I do is activities for the release of the hostages and raise the awareness about them. I didn't work. I travel around the world. I do participate in rallies, in march. We have few times in Israel that we march from one place to another, for example, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and it was covered by all the press, all the media in Israel and outside. I go to interviews in TV, in radio station, from Israel and international, something I never thought I will do, and I will be happy to stop doing, but I understand you must do it. We meet people. On the right is the German ambassador, for example. Germany is also, like United States, a very big supporter and try to do whatever they can. On the bottom left, you see me sleeping. There is inside Tel Aviv big army base when the war cabinet meets from time to time. So we were just sleeping there, many family members, just for them, at time they come in to see that we're still there, and they need to do whatever is possible to release our loved ones as soon as possible. Also travel the world. This is my 4th visit in the United States in a year. Also been to Germany, I told you Georgia, Netherlands, and we do whatever we can. Whenever there's a chance to do it, we'll go there and talk to people, tell the story. Sometimes it's talking to government officials, elected officials, to make sure they're working on it. Sometimes it's talk to people like you to tell the story that people will hear the truth, not just what sometimes is in TV. Now in TV, I don't think, except Israel, people is barely talking about the hostages. Just saw a picture from what happened in Gaza, and no one think about why is the reason for this. And no one think that when Hamas started this attack, they knew that Israel react. They knew that some Palestinians will be killed, and for them, they're happy about it. They want it to happen, because then people think the Palestinians are the poor ones, are the victims. But if they're victims, they're victims of Hamas, not victims of Israel. And this is something the whole world needs to understand. The only reason Israel started it is in order to bring her people back. No other country in the world, and for sure not the United States, will allow someone to invade into her property, kidnap people, take them away, and be silent about it. So this is what Israel doing now. Israel trying her best not to hurt civilians. All the shout about genocide, if Israel trying to do genocide, Israel doing a very bad work. Israel trying not to hurt civilians. When they're bombing a house, they're telling people, please go away from this house. It's also happened now in Lebanon, another frontier that suddenly Hezbollah joined the party and started to attack Israel. More than 100,000 Israelis that live on the border of the north border of Israel does not live in their house for more than a year because they cannot live there. It's too dangerous to be there. When IDF started to enter Gaza from the north part, they told the civilians, go to the south so you don't get hurt. Hamas stood in the way and didn't let them to go. And this is something people need to understand. This is the situation that we have in Israel. We're trying to do our best not to hurt civilians. But like we heard before, we don't know who from the civilians are innocent, who not. Did the people that participate in the robbing are innocent? Are the people that cheer in the streets, try to beat the hostages, are they innocent? Are the people that took and hold hostages in their houses, are they innocent? Probably not. Of course, I believe some there didn't take part of it, but still, I don't know who's supporting this and who's not. The handsome young man on the left, it's me 1 year ago. Part of my commitment to the thing is that I decided I'm not shaving my beard and not cutting my hair until my parents are back. When I took this commitment, I didn't know it will take so long time, but I cannot take it back. And it shows how I'm committed to it, and this is my life. On the right is one of the campaigns we did. We call it the missing person picture. Same people, same place, same clothes, just one man is missing, and I think it speaks for himself. Last one of the things, Niroz, always in my heart and now on my skin. Already a few months ago, my daughter decided she wanted to tattoo a part of the kibbutz symbol, this flower, and she knew she was going to do it after 1 year. And when she decided to do it, she told me, are you going to do it with me? And I said, no, I never thought I'll have a tattoo. I don't think I'll do it. A few days before that, my wife and me, we planned what we're going to the same day because in the morning there was the memorial for Efrat, my father partner. And then she asked me, well, are you going to do it? And I told her, you know what? Ever since we talk about it, I never thought about it. And she told me, oh, okay, so you probably won't do it. It's for the best. And when we arrived to the place where they do the tattoo, only then I decided that I will do it. And when this person came and he started to talk with her, bring the sketches of exact size we're going to do it, and then I told him, would you do it for me too? And he said, of course. My wife and daughter need a few minutes to be able to close their mouths because they're so amazed. But it's happened, and I'm happy I did it. As you can see in the middle, the sign of Niroz, the symbol of Niroz is green with colors in a happy thing. But after October 7, we did our shirt with everything black, like you see on my shirt. My daughter decided it was her decision to do this flower, and we did it just the frame, and maybe one day we'll be happy enough and cheerful enough and fill it with the colors. Thank you very much. This is my story. I would like to invite Shoshana to speak about Faces of October 7, the organization that thanks for him I'm here. Thank you.
First, thank you, Yair. I'm just so constantly impressed no matter how many times that I listen to him speak. I feel emotional every time. It's been such a pleasure to work with him. He's such incredible strength and energy. I know he inspired you all, so you can only imagine how much it's been an honor to be traveling with him all week. I'm Shoshana. I'm one of the directors of this nonprofit called Faces of October 7th, and I'm just going to take a brief moment to explain a little bit about the nonprofit that brought Yair here. Basically, we bring October 7th survivors and speakers to share their personal experiences all around the world. Our mission is to combat the misinformation that's out there and to inspire resilience against this injustice that's happened and the subsequent anti-Semitism around the world, and also to support the victims. It all started really just with another young woman and I. We have a background of working at Jewish community centers on college campuses. And we, have these relationships with college campuses all around the country. And we personally knew some survivors of the massacre. And we just decided that we needed the college students needed firsthand accounts of what happened to really understand from someone's personal story what happened that day. And those people needed places to share their stories. So we just started bringing people and creating these face-to-face connections. And more we realized that this is what needed to be happening more and more. And so starting basically 10 days after October 7th, over a year ago now, we've brought 20 speakers to over 90 college campuses in 350 different communities total. And we'll go to synagogues and campuses and high schools and churches and youth groups and everything in between. I think I can sum up 3 different ways if you're interested in helping support our mission. First is to connect with us. Like I said, we go to all those different places. Really, we want as many people and communities to bear witness and understand what's happening and connect with these stories as possible. So I have these pamphlets that will be on the desk out there that have my personal phone number and email. And also we have our website, and you can learn more about what we're doing and reach out to us that way if you have ideas, if to go to your kid's high school or college or have a different church, anything like that. Please help us connect with as many people as possible. Also, we have a newsletter on our website. And second of all is to help support us financially, to donate. I'm not a fundraiser, but I've found myself directing the startup, and that with all the expenses and plus the mess of buying flights to and from Israel right now, we honestly do need to help figure out to find more financial support to remain sustainable. I believe there's baskets on the table out front, or you can also scan the QR code or take a picture of it to donate online later. And I would definitely want to thank Pastor Paul and Candlelight Church for already helping us so much. But finally, and most importantly, you can support our mission by sharing your story with as many people as you can. You all have this unique opportunity of meeting an Israeli in person and hearing directly from him his very personal story. I mean, as we all know, Israel is all over the news in the U.S. today, but very few of us get this opportunity. So please make good use of his trip and his story and talk about this with others. You got to hear a son talk about his father in his own voice, and got to picture the harvest festival that his dad hosted and the work he's done traveling the world, helping underdeveloped countries feed themselves better. And you have this experience now. And if everyone that's heard his story just shares with a few people. It should be thousands of people that know about Gadi Moses and are praying for him to come home. And also on that note, if you want a type of reminder, we have, Yair brought these, too much hair, these yellow pens that are signs that you're thinking of and praying for the hostages, and these necklaces that say "Bring them home now," and in Hebrew it says that my heart is captured in Gaza. Those are on the tables outside too.
I'd like to close our time tonight with what we refer to as the Aaronic blessing. The Lord would bless you. And may the Lord keep you, and may the Lord be gracious unto you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. In the name of our Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus. Amen. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Take your time if you want to linger around a little bit. Pray if you want. Go out and visit with them. There is a basket if you'd like to help them financially. We wrote them a check for $1,500 just to help with their expenses a little bit, but they're in need of other support, so cash is great. If you do write a check, write it to Faces of October 7th, spelled out, 7th, spelled out. And just bless them as you go. God bless you guys. Have a great evening. We'll see you Sunday.